Hello, everybody. We will be starting in 1 minute's time. 1 minute's time.
Hello. Look, it works. Good afternoon, everybody. Wakey, wakey. I know you might be feeling a little bit sleepy. I'm blinded by the lights. I'm Claira Hermet, and we are just about to go into our expert panel talk. Oh my God, that light! I can't see anyone. That's better. I can see someone if I just block it out. That's it. So, how are you all doing so far? I need you to make a little bit of noise. I need to know you're all awake. I need to know you're all there. So on the count of 3. Make some noise. 1, 2, 3. You've already done 2 workouts. You've got 3 to go. You're not even halfway through yet, just reminding you. So I'm Claira. I am a presenter for BBC Radio London. I've been there for the last 3 years. I am also a qualified personal trainer. I'm very much, fitness is part of my life. It's also something that I do and talk about a lot in terms of mental health and mental wellness, and in terms of self-love. So I'm also a self-love and confidence coach. And this afternoon, we have a panel of experts right before us who are all going to introduce themselves in just a moment. Now, I cannot believe that nobody submitted any questions via the Instagram thing that Erin put out on Sweat London. So I know you're going to have questions. And I just want to reassure you and say this afternoon, there is no such thing as a stupid question. All questions are welcome. These people are here to answer your questions and make good use of them whilst they are here. So if you have a question, just pop your hand up and give me a little wave, and I will come and find you with the microphone so you can ask your question to the experts. That good? Wicked. Okay, so let's start. Do you want to take it in turns? Introduce yourself, Erin?
Hi, good afternoon, guys. My name is Erron Dussard. I am a personal trainer and have been for the last 12 years. I specialize in strength and conditioning and also body composition. So that's basically fat loss, aesthetical goals as well. And I work in central London and have done for the last 12 years.
Also the founder of Sweat London. Let's give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Medhurst. I'm a fully qualified nutritionist. I specialize in gut health, female health, and relationship with food type issues. I have quite a big following on TikTok and Instagram. I'm one of the first TikTok partners in the UK, and I've been working directly with TikTok to create educational content for the platform under my handle, which is the Imperfect Nutritionist. And the idea behind the Imperfect Nutritionist is that it's meant to be a very inclusive message, a very positive message. I really want to help people create sustainable dietary change, so to kind of stop this yo-yoing that we see quite a lot in society from one extreme to another. It's a very positive message. It's a very inclusive message. Nothing I do is about restriction. Keep the things that you love. If you love them in your diet, I'm going to help you hopefully include. It's about putting more nutrients in, not taking things away. And again, very positive message and meant to be about supporting good mental health and physical health as well.
Thank you, Jennifer. Amazing. Manny, save the best till last. Oi, oi. Even though you didn't remember who I was when I've met you before. It's fine though. Terrible memory.
It's dark in here.
Huh?
My name's Emmanuel Ovola. On my Instagram handle is Manny O, if we are plugging. I am a physiotherapist. I'm really passionate about health and really promoting health equality. I think the big thing for me is I'm a founder of the Cultural Health Club, which is an organisation looking to diversify like leadership in health. I am a running coach. I work with Nike, so you might see me on your NRC apps if you ever use them. And I really do, love helping people get better and really like get a grasp of their health. So I'm excited to be talking on this panel and excited to answer your questions. So hopefully we'll have lots of them.
Thank you, Manny. Woo! Okay, now I've got a couple of questions that I'm going to start with, but I can't, because of the light, I can't actually see people. So if you have a question, is it okay if you just come to the side of the stage and then I'm not going to miss you, if that's the easiest? Or if you're waving at me and I don't see you, just make sure that you come and get your question answered. So I'm going to start with Manny, and I just wanted to ask you, what are some of the most common gym injuries that you see, and what are some of the best ways that we can avoid them?
Cool. I think sometimes when we think about injuries, we think about the actual injury and the time it happened, but there's probably processes and things that happen before it. So you have too little sleep, you forgot your gym kit, so you're like rushing, you've got to do the workout and it's 25 minutes and you've got to get back to work. So I think all those things probably influence what happens to an injury. But the big injuries are like tendon injuries, so your Achilles, sometimes in your shoulders you might feel certain injuries, and tendon injuries can linger and last for a long time, and they can be really non-specific. So like the pain improves with activity sometimes, but then it gets worse if you rest. So those are the specific tendon injuries. Obviously back pain is one of the biggest things people suffer with, and back pain, we know it's not completely linked to activity or a deadlift. It can be linked to stress and like social factors. So when we think about health, sometimes we think, oh, it's just cardiovascular health, or health is maybe our diet. But we also have to think about social health, mental health. Our kind of our ability to support each other in a community aspect. So like Erin putting this on today, I think is great, because obviously some of you guys might meet somebody new and your social health will improve by having that social support and social network. So I would say gym injuries are complex, but the big ones are tendon injuries and back injuries. Those are the big ones I see.
Yeah, how do we avoid them? Because I had tendonitis at some point this year, and it went on in my foot for months, and it was horrible. Never happened before, just out of nowhere, bam. I was like, thanks.
So boom or bust, does anybody know what that means? Boom or bust is, so like, we're going to come up to Christmas, right? So Christmas, you might have Christmas parties. So going to the gym, what happens? Goes bust, right? Then January comes and everyone's like, boom, I am back. So you go every week, every day in the first week of January, and you see the gym being really busy. And then third week of January, I'll be really busy. So trying to avoid boom or bust, trying to have consistency in your life, and that's pretty hard. Obviously, we have lots of things grabbing our attention and pulling us left to right. So trying to find some way to keep things consistent, even if you do shorter, smaller workouts, 15, 20-minute workouts. We have IG, we have lots of different people you can follow and follow workouts. Erin's
Lots of them here today.
There you go, lots of them here today. So finding time to keep yourself consistent. Consistency will keep you healthy. And that's with anything, especially sleep, which I want to talk about today, but we'll get onto that later.
We'll get on to sleep. Let's go to Jennifer now. A question that I wanted to ask about nutrition. There is so much conflicting information. I'm sure you addressed this, and you just mentioned in your introduction as well, but we hear about like the paleo diet or intermittent fasting or this, and it just sometimes it can feel really overwhelming. And where do we start, and how do we create a diet that is going to work for us, that we can be consistent with, that we're going to get the results, but also the energy levels that we want to have as well?
It's a really good question, and it's actually what inspired me to kind of to really do what I'm doing, because of the fact that there is so much conflicting information. And who do you listen to? Who do you trust? I would obviously say you could listen to me, trust me. But the first place to go would be to make sure that whoever you are listening to is properly trained. So there are regulatory bodies when it comes to dietitians and nutritionists. So always look for someone who's properly registered, properly qualified. But even amongst the experts, there's still disagreement on how to approach diet. And actually, I think this is the message I'm really passionate about, which is that we shouldn't be dogmatic in terms of telling people what they can and can't do with their bodies. It's an exceptionally personal thing, and our bodies are as unique as our personalities. And so trying to say that there's one size fits all diet for everyone, in my opinion, is total nonsense. And actually what works for one person might not work for another. And so I'm really passionate. I have a private nutrition clinic, and one thing I'm really passionate about is working with my client to totally create something that's completely unique to them, and working not just with their bodies but their likes and their dislikes and their preferences, and really trying to create something that's going to work for them, not just in the short term but in the long term. And it definitely is challenging, obviously, because there are different things happening at different times of year, and so being consistent is definitely a challenge. But for me, it's about focusing on principles. I actually have 7 kind of underlying principles that I follow, and they're applicable to any kind of healthy diet. And they're also, they're very malleable to any kind of likes and dislikes. So it just gives people that flexibility to do what they feel is right for their own bodies, and allow themselves to listen to their own bodies as well. Because your body is going to tell you what it likes and dislikes. It's about trying to help it get to that point.
Yeah, it's just when your mind likes something that your body doesn't like,
Yeah.
and then they're in this constant argument. Erin, when it comes to training, how often should we be changing up our workouts to continue that we get so we continue to get the best out of them? Because, I see people at the gym that they've got the proper pads to write down exactly how many reps they've done, like what weights they've lifted. But I find if I do that, I just get really bored quite quickly. So what is there a way that we can do different stuff but still continue to get results?
Yeah, so I think we're all kind of creatures of habit. So we like what we like, and we tend to kind of always go back to that. But your body, for your body to have adaptation, you need to give it something different. So how I generally write out programs is at around the 3 to 4 week period, your body's probably going to go into a plateau if you're doing the same thing all the time. So it's probably at that point where you kind of need to mix it up. And it's all about giving the muscles different stimuli by either increasing the reps, increasing the weight, reducing the reps, reducing the weight, just giving a different stimulus so that you force adaptation in the muscles. Because if you don't force the muscles to adapt, they won't. So yeah, I just feel like you should look to change it every 3 to 4 weeks, and that just helps avoid a plateau, and it just gives you a mental break as well. So if you're going through a strength phase where you're lifting heavy all the time, it might be nice to just reduce the weight and do something a little bit lighter, because it will give your muscles a different stimuli, because they're not used to doing that high rep range, and also it just will give your joints a little bit of a rest as well.
Okay, great. Manny, I know you want to talk about sleep, so I'm going to let you do that, because you've already dropped that. And I think when it comes to sleep, it's something that people often overlook when it comes to mental health, to physical health, and it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things I wanted to get across today is that your pain pressure threshold, so the amount of discomfort you may be able to tolerate, changes with the lack of sleep. So they've done this in research and identified that actually. So when you go to the gym and you've maybe had less sleep, you might find that you're more sore, or you can't maybe push as much. We know it obviously affects performance, but the key thing is that your pain tolerance changes. And I probably want to bring this on to Jennifer. And about
I can just feel myself nodding away with
yeah,
everything that you're
I could
saying.
feel you.
Yeah,
So
sleep's a huge thing. It's
especially with nutrition, I guess. And
massive.
I know people train and exercise for obviously to manage weight. So that's probably a big influential factor.
100%. So if you haven't had enough sleep, which we classify ideally as somewhere between 6 to 8 hours, ideally more towards the 8-hour point, it's amazing what the research shows us in terms of the impact on your body. Yes, it's going to affect your ability to train, but also things like your immunity can go down by 70% just from having 5 hours or less sleep. It's quite a drastic reduction in your body's immune system, and your body's immune system actually plays a huge role, not just in the kind of typical aspects we think of immunity, cough, cold, but actually also it's things like your cancer surveillance system. Sleep determines how well you age. It's got a ton of different impacts. Also, if you don't sleep enough, it's going to affect your appetite. We know that we eat more when we sleep less. So sleep is so crucial. It's basically a massive topic in itself, I would say.
Yeah, and I think the quality as well. So depending on time, so you want to try and get your sleep to be as consistent as possible, sleeping at the same time. Does anyone here sleep before 10 o'clock?
Wow. Impressive.
I'm literally a big sleeper. Anyone here sleep after 11?
Would you guys like any sleep tips? So we in nutrition we call it sleep hygiene. I don't know. Do you call it that in fitness too? Yeah. So sleep hygienes is the things I usually do with my clients to kind of help them get to sleep, ideally before 11. There was quite a majority that was saying after 11. I suppose you got some sleep tips probably as well.
Yeah, let's go back to back.
Yeah. sleep tip off. So I would say my number one favorite one that everyone hates is put that mobile phone in another room. Massive one.
At which point?
I would say at least an hour before ideally you want to be in bed. Ideally. So there's a period of winding down. Probably you want to start winding down for sleep at least an hour before you are asleep, and you want to put that mobile phone away at least an hour before you start winding down. And there's tons of reasons for it, but the main reason is actually the blue light that it emits from the phone is extremely stimulating to your brain, and it's going to disrupt your sleep pattern. It affects melatonin, serotonin production, which is necessary for the sleep-wake cycle. So that's kind of what's the one main one that people are pretty much all guilty of.
Come on, Manny.
I think one that probably Erin might agree with, like training late at 9 or like late in the evening. Yeah.
Because after you train, you feel that that endorphin rush and your adrenaline is high, so it's going to be hard for you to kind of wind down. So, I mean, I have been guilty of training late at night sometimes, but I generally like to...
The truth's coming out now.
So
do as I say, right?
Yeah, that's true. So I've done a session maybe last week at about 10:30.
Ooh,
yeah,
that is
late.
late.
It's bad. And worse still, because I had a session the next morning at 7:30, so I definitely don't get the kind of recommended hours sleep that you did say. But I wouldn't encourage training too close to when you're about to go to sleep, because there is that endorphin rush and you do get that high, and it takes a little while to kind of wind down.
So keep your phone off for an hour, at least an hour before you go to bed, and keep it in a different room. And then don't train too close to when you're going to sleep. So don't train too late. Yeah. What else have we got? Anything? What about eating and what time we eat?
Again, so this is a topic of major discussion. And essentially, I would say, firstly, the most important thing to do is listen to your body's cues. Essentially, if you're hungry, I think, your body's telling you something. It wants some food. So that's the primary focus. But probably if you're starting to get cravings very late at night consistently, you probably need to address what you're eating earlier on in the day. So short term, I would say have something to eat. Never deprive yourself if you're feeling hungry, and try and make it something that's as kind of nutritious as possible. So some kind of nice protein with some kind of good whole grains. So something like yogurt with a little bit of oats or something like that is quite nice very late. But ideally, you want to be thinking, what are you having earlier on in the day that's leading to you being so much hungry so close to bed? Because ideally, you're not going to eat just before bed. It's not ideal. And I would say usually when I see this in my clinic, it's because people aren't having enough protein throughout the day. So if you're someone that misses breakfast, but then you're getting very hungry just before bed, you might want to start thinking about having breakfast. So bringing that high quality protein, i.e. eggs, yogurt, all of that stuff into your day earlier on. And actually the research does show us that you burn energy more effectively in the morning than you do in the evening. So it's actually better to eat earlier on. Again, not true for everyone, but majority of people that tends to be the case. So if you can start having breakfast, that tends to be really beneficial for late night cravings.
Manny, have you got one more tip for good sleep?
Yeah, I think like the culture in London sometimes can be quite intense. So probably like stop working. Legit, like stop working 3 hours, like 2 to 3 hours before your like bedtime, because literally people will be like work, close their laptop, try and go to sleep, and they wonder why their sleep's quality is not great. So all those things I think really help, like with your REM sleep, which is the rapid eye movement sleep, and it's the quality sleep that I think will help you absorb all the good work you're doing in the gym, and helps with memory and just overall good feelings.
Yeah, and trying to make sure that the bedroom is a place of rest as well. I know sometimes bedrooms can double as offices, as dining tables, as about a million other things, but your brain will subconsciously associate an area with a certain activity. So it's good to kind of get the TV screen out of the room, obviously mobile phone we've discussed, but trying to make it somewhere that really signifies somewhere comfortable, somewhere relaxing, somewhere that you sleep. So making your bed in the morning so it's attractive to come back in the evening, and also keeping the bedroom as a dark area as well. So if you don't have blackout blinds, to maybe start using some kind of eye mask or something, and making sure, that it's dark and quiet, because that really helps to support the sleep-wake cycle.
Amazing. Now, before we started the panel, someone came and spoke to me. I know I can't see her at the moment, but I had a question, which I'm going to put to Erin. I can see you hiding. The question was, can you build your legs without building your glutes? Can you isolate and just build your leg muscles without building glute muscles?
Okay, so when it comes down to building muscle or losing weight, it's ultimately down to the way you fuel the muscles, so in terms of how you're eating. So you could train as hard as you want, but if you're not putting in the right amount of nutrients, then you're not going to grow, you're not going to allow the muscles to repair. But if you want to target the legs, you do like isolation exercises. So isolation exercises are basically exercises that target one muscle, or so it's not multiple muscles. So for your quads, it would be something like a leg extension, so seated leg extension. Or if you want to work your hamstrings, it would be like a lay-down leg curl or a seated leg curl. So you want to focus on the isolation exercises. But ultimately, if you want to grow a muscle, you need to make sure you're fueling it with the right amount of food.
Okay, so but you can do that. So potentially, if you wanted to just isolate and grow your
but
quads and your
balance
hamstrings.
is important. So it wouldn't look right if you've just got big legs but nothing behind. And also your glutes are your power system for every other movement as well. So it's really important to have strong glutes. So I wouldn't advise just working on the quads and hamstrings and forgetting about the glutes.
Right. Okay. But I think about finding balance. Yeah. You're saying. Right. Does anyone else have questions? If you've got a question. Otherwise, I'll continue with some of mine. Okay, let me jump down. I'm like Challenge Annika. I just need a jumpsuit. Hold on. What's your question?
Oh, what's your best post-workout recovery advice?
Is that to me?
That's to all of you, I guess, because you
Okay.
can look at it from nutrition, from the terms of physio, and from you, Erin, as well. Go on. Let's have it.
So immediately after I finish workout, I make sure that I stretch and I cool down as well. Like there's a lot of people who are short of time, and that's the moment they finish their workout, they're just off and they go home, and then they wonder why they wake up in the morning and they're really stiff. So it's really good to kind of deload by doing a little bit of a cool down and doing a bit of stretching as well.
Nutritionally speaking, definite priority. Depends on the intensity of the workout you've done and also the type of workout you've done. But glycogen tends to get used up in workouts, so we're making sure that you're replacing that with a high-quality carbohydrate and then also protein as well, because obviously working out is an inflammatory process. You're tearing muscle, so you also need to be rebuilding it afterwards. So protein's vital for that muscle repair as well. That's supposed to happen, by the way. That's a good thing. Our bodies are breaking themselves down and rebuilding them all the time, but they need energy for that. And so protein and high-quality carbohydrates. I know, have you noticed there's something similar? Protein, high-quality carbohydrates. So what you do that's good for a workout is also going to be good for your sleep, is also going to be good for your overall health. It all feeds together nicely, so yeah.
So I think I'll probably come in with people heard of cryotherapy or like cold therapy. So we know that ice baths, the evidence is probably moving away from ice baths being effective for your recovery. It's moving more towards like red light saunas or saunas. So actually going back because we've probably had those as recovery tools before, but the evidence is coming back that they are actually useful recovery tools. So using some saunas or red light saunas, and then like the cryo chambers, which are the gas chambers, they're supposed to have some good evidence behind them in terms of recovery. But I think to optimize your recovery, probably think about your like periodization or your planning. So like how you plan one session into another. That's the biggest thing that we try and do as physiotherapists. Look at people's loading. So loading's a big factor. I talked about boom or bust. So I'd make sure that whoever I'm working with, I would have an idea of what they're doing, how they're doing that, and how that fits into their training, their sleep, and their overall lifestyle. So all those things allow me to like make a picture of, are they getting optimal recovery? Because our bodies do really, really well at recovering on their own, but we sometimes can jeopardize that inadvertently.
Thank you. Anyone else got any questions? If just raise your hand if you have a question. If not, I've got more. Anyone? Oh, cool. Yeah. This is good. This is good for my legs that aren't working after 2 classes, let alone after 5.
Hi. My question is to the nutritionist.
Yep.
You said you specialise in gut nutrition. What would be your top 3 tips for a healthy gut?
Oh, gosh, okay. So, there's so many. Let me think of the kind of best ones that are a bit more unusual. So, including fermented foods in your diet. It's something that's not so much included in the typical Western diet, and it's phenomenal for gut health. They've done tons of research into this, and it improves gut. I'm sure you've all heard about the microbiome, but the diversity of the microbiome and how diverse your microbiome is directly linked to how good your health is. So, included fermented foods. So that's kefir, that's miso. Trying to think what else. Tempeh, which was actually on the lunch menu today. Kombucha, yes, of course. Kimchi, yeah. Things like this. They're not traditionally kind of English things, but they're definitely great to get in there, and they're having a huge surge now in popularity. You can kind of actually get them in most supermarkets. Kimchi's a real ball ache to make, so I definitely recommend buying that if possible. And then, so fermented foods, definitely one. And then, I know I mentioned it slightly about diversity, but a diverse microbiome is a healthy microbiome. And so actually trying to include a diverse range of plant foods in your diet. So this is probably going to sound a bit intimidating, but actually you really want to be aiming for 30 different kinds of plant foods in your diet a week. It sounds like a lot, but remember, plant foods can be things like herbs and spices as well, nuts and seeds. And people tend to, I see this a lot in my clinic, is people tend to, they got their little habits and they like certain things and they just eat those over and over and over again. So the number of people that just have kind of carrots and broccoli. It's like, that's great, but actually next time you're in the supermarket and you're going around the shops, try and look in your basket and see how many different types of things you've got. I don't know if you've heard about something called like eating a rainbow. It's become a bit of a kind of term. And actually you want to be and the reason for that is you want to be eating lots of different colors. So looking some for reds, for greens, for blues, you know, onions are whites, garlic, and start looking in your basket and be like, right, I'm having my dinner, but right, I've got my broccoli there and my carrots, but maybe I could put some aubergine in, maybe I should put some tomatoes, and trying to aim for kind of 3 different colors at each meal. That's really gonna not only boost your diversity, but your antioxidant intake, because different colors of fruits and vegetables actually denote a different range of nutrients as well. That's kind of why they're different colors. So yeah, 30 different kinds of plant foods, eating a rainbow, and fermented foods. I've got more, but
Brilliant. That was 3, but people can go and I'm sure look at your stuff online and find out lots more information as well.
Absolutely.
Does anybody else have another question? Don't forget there's no such thing as a stupid right. 2. We've got 2. That's it. We've got a queue forming. 3. Okay, let's do this. Let's go with you, Jo. What's your question?
Hello, it's another question for Jennifer, actually. Which is, when you were talking earlier, you mentioned about 7 principles that you use for all the different bespoke diets and nutrition plans that you come up with, and I just wondered whether you could share those, please.
Well, they'll actually all be in my book, which is coming out next year and available from all major retailers. Just to say, I've done the 3 of them. I was already done. What was the other ones off the top of my head? Eating mindfully would be another one that I should have mentioned. Is actually trying to engage with your food rather than sitting in front of the TV and just kind of gobbling it down. Actually trying to make it an enjoyable process, because the preparation of food is actually partially what contributes to our digestion. So when you salivate, that's actually digestive enzymes in your mouth starting to form, and it's your stomach getting ready. You need digestive enzymes in your stomach to digest food. You need hydrochloric acid. And so if you're ordering a Deliveroo and then it arrives in a couple of seconds and you're gobbling it down in the front of the TV, your body's not actually got any time to prepare for the process of eating. So cooking food is actually good for digestion. And then things like taking 4 deep breaths before you eat, because a number of times we'll just kind of get our food and go and not even stop and think. And you have, in your autonomic nervous system, you have 2 parts to your autonomic nervous system. You have the sympathetic, which is the fight and flight, which is kind of your high intensity workouts and it's that thing where you're running away from a tiger, and so your body's prioritizing all your kind of fight or flight sensors. But then you have the parasympathetic, which counterbalances it, and that's your rest and digest. So things like yoga are really good for that. Breathing, meditation. We do a lot to stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. We do almost nothing to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system in modern day society. And you need that rest and digest, that parasympathetic nervous system, to be engaged to optimize your digestion. Remember, it's one thing putting great food in your mouth. It's another thing if you're actually breaking it down and absorbing it. So while I can give you amazing advice on what to eat, your body's got to be doing that work of breaking it down and absorbing it. And so actually 4 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth before you start eating switches you from the sympathetic state into the parasympathetic state, and enables your body to just optimize that ability to digest and absorb. So yeah, that's another one of the principles.
We've got another.
I'll leave the rest as teasers.
I don't know if I've turned this off. Oh, I've got another question for Jennifer. Here we go.
Hi there. How do you deal with sugar cravings and just sugar in general? It's a real addiction, yeah.
That's actually another one of the principles. Reduce refined carbohydrates. So yeah, these are things like high processed sugar. So again, deal with tons of sugar cravings in my clinic. A top tip, I would say, would be to get yourself some licorice tea. Pucker tea, do a very good one. And that really helps with sugar cravings. My clients have had really good reports back from that. But essentially, sugar cravings are usually to do with blood sugar imbalance. So if you're getting blood sugar imbalance, it's probably a sign that, and again, what I do is quite specialist. I'm giving you general tips. So keep trying if these things don't work. But generally, most sugar cravings are to do with blood sugar imbalance, which means you're probably not getting enough protein in your diet. So I would say regular meals. So again, not to be dogmatic about it, just as a kind of a suggestion, try 3 meals a day with 2 snacks. That's the kind of the group. I'm not a snacker. I like to have 3 bigger meals and no snacks, but everyone's different. It depends what you're doing throughout the day. And trying to make sure that you're including protein in each of those meals, and that actually the carbohydrates that you're having are trying to include some whole grains in there as well. And hopefully that should start to regulate and balance things out. And I would really try and do that at least for 2 weeks, and see what happens. If not, reach out to me on Instagram. I'll give you some more tips.
Thank you.
Okay.
And another question for Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer. What is your view on supplements and things like pre-workout? Do I need them?
What was the second part? Supplements and
things like pre-workout. My teenage boys take it all the time.
So, official party line is food first. I would always like all of my clients to get all of their nutrition from real food, if possible. But look, hey, life happens. It's not always possible, and so it's definitely better to take things like Huel or they're one of the sponsors. Yeah, that wasn't a deliberate plug. But these things are great because it's better you have them than nothing. And they are good high quality supplements, and it's definitely better than nothing. But I also would like to work with my clients to try and get good nutrition in, and especially for someone who's doing sporty, it can be really challenging. I work out my private clinic. My private physical clinic is based out of the Third Space Medical in Soho. And so I obviously see a lot of personal trainers, and it's expensive for you guys. You're out, you're on the go all day. It's not sustainable to just be constantly eating. You need things like that to support you if you're training a lot. And then where supplements, so that you've got the kind of the fitness side of it, which is the protein powders and the meal replacements, whatever. But then if you're not someone that's kind of concerned about it from that angle, and maybe you're thinking, I need a kind of general hold all just to make sure that I'm doing everything well, then yeah, absolutely. I would look at, there are certain nutrients that most people tend to be deficient in. Most people tend to be deficient in omega-3s. They don't tend to get enough B vitamins. And this is high quality omega-3s as well. So when you're picking an omega-3 supplement, try and look at EPA and DHA ratios. That's the kind of the high quality part of the omega-3s. So that's one I see a lot of people don't have enough of. And also it's because of our food system's been so degraded in terms of the quality of the fish now, there's an argument that it's probably better to supplement omega-3s. Vitamin D. If you live in this country, you physically cannot get enough vitamin D from the sun all year round. So everyone should be supplementing vitamin D. Wait, I don't know if that's official. It's the NHS says it's recommended that everyone in this. Am I allowed to say it?
The World Health Organization. So
yeah. Well,
I see a lot of injuries because of vitamin D deficiency.
Yeah.
So you'll be treating and going through a rehabilitation program. And then you ask somebody to go and get some bloods, and they'll be vitamin D deficient, B12 deficient, and that is linked to their pain, and they get vitamin D supplements, and pain reduces. So vitamin D is definitely, no matter your skin type, by the way, that's a definite thing.
So definitely, I think everyone should be taking that pretty much if you're here in this country. So
where there is no sun very often, especially not this year. There hasn't been any. Whilst I'm down here, just to save my legs from one more step up, because I am doing garage and glutes after this, and I think it's going to kill me. Does anybody else have any final questions? This is going to be, I think we might have time for 2. Let's just see.
Hi, how do you stay motivated in working out and eating healthy?
Let's go to Erin for that one.
For working out, I would say you just want to be consistent and give your body variety. So that's probably more going to avoid you feeling bored about your workout. So I would say try variety. You don't need to do your best session all the time. Sometimes it's good to just be there and get something in, because it just builds that consistency. The moment that you kind of miss a workout, you can be on like a kind of a slippery slope to kind of missing more. So what I would say is just try and get in the gym and just do something, even if you're not feeling at your greatest, because you don't need to do a PB every day. Sometimes it could be that you just want to keep things ticking over. Like consistency kind of breeds progress. So what I would say is just try and do it often, and just give your body variety by doing loads of different stuff. Because as well as physically, your body needs it, but mentally, you kind of need variety as well.
Thank you, Erin. Do you want to comment, Jennifer, on staying consistent with diet?
I mean, it's tough. It is tough. I fully empathize. And I think the main thing about staying consistent is good preparation. So making sure that you've got good stuff in your home to go to, like store cupboard ingredients. So things like we were just talking about omega-3s. Tinned fish is actually really cheap and a really great source of omega-3. And it's a great thing to just have in the cupboard. And so you can make yourself a quick snack with it. I have a lot of frozen soups in my freezer. And so I can do like frozen soup with tinned mackerel and whatever on toast. That seems to be quite a good quick go-to meal. But yeah, it's about preparation and but then also don't be too hard on yourself. Good diet is determined by overall pattern, not by what happened at 1 or 2 meals. It's about what you're doing overall.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, because I think it's really important when it comes to consistency and motivation to look at your mental health and the relationship that you have with yourself. And I feel like I've found the more that I have self-love, the more that I appreciate myself, the easier it's been to be in a consistent workout routine. As somebody who was in and out of exercise and yo-yo dieting and eating disorders for years and years, to make peace with myself and my physical self has literally been the thing that has given me the power to be consistent, because we all have good intentions. We can all, say, oh, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times this week. I've got all the healthy food in the cupboard. But, then something happens and, we're not in control of our mind anymore, and it can really throw us off. So I think it really all starts with your mental wellness and making sure that that is on track. Whether you need to go to therapy, whether you need to work with a coach, whatever you need to do, you will find that when that is in a better space, everything else starts to fall into place. Thank you.
Yeah,
I just wanted to add that. And one final question. I know you're just a spokesperson for everyone, apparently. She's been voted. It's okay.
Bloating, what would be the thing one thing that you would say to help it?
Oh, gosh. I actually just
did one thing.
I did a video on this the other day. It's a really, really common complaint in clinic. One thing. Stop drinking beer. That seems to be a big one. There are definitely trigger foods, but the thing is, unfortunately, with bloating, is it can have a million different causes. And so I don't like to say this one thing's going to fix you, because probably not. But I think staying hydrated is helpful, and trying to keep track of like what are your trigger foods, what is causing the bloating, and trying to kind of work it out that way. But then actually probably looking to your overall diet, making sure you've got good quality nutrition in there. Sorry, it's not a bit more of a specific, helpful answer. It generally can have 1,000 fathers, bloating. Don't know if anyone else got any.
No, but I think it's just different for every single person, isn't it? When it comes to, I think it's, I don't know. I want to say I feel like it impacts women more than it does men, but it's also to do with hormones and periods and all of those kind of things can play into it. But I do think that, like you were saying, right at the start is about listening to your own body and working out. And sometimes it's about tracking things, like doing a food diary and just working out if there is any kind of pattern. Also, for me, stress is a massive impact on my gut, and I didn't realize that. I was like, no, not me. It's always going to be food. And then you realize that actually how you're feeling emotionally, and this is why I go back to that, has a huge impact on your physical body in terms of your energy levels, like everything. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of a champion of getting your head in the right space, and making sure that you have love and appreciation for your amazing bodies. Thank you, all of you, for being here, for asking questions. Thank you to our panel of experts. Let's give them a big round of applause.
And thank you to you, Claira, for hosting as well. You're a very good host. So
No worries.
Yes,
Thanks.
thank
I'll put
you.
that on my CV, Erin. So, is everybody ready for their third class? No, you don't sound ready. I'm putting this on Instagram, so you better sound ready. On the count of 3, is everyone ready for their third class? Okay, go do it. Thank you.
Thank you.